animators and artists, and welcome to this afternoon's Toon Boom interview. Nico Colaleo is the creator and showrunner of Ollie Scoops, an independent self-funded series, and we invited Nico onto our stream to discuss his experience in independent animation as well as his advice to artists who are curious about creating their own shows. Hello, Nico, and welcome to our stream.
Hey, good to be here. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Nico, how would you describe Ollie Scoops to someone who has never seen your show before?
Sure. It's a 10-year-old girl. Her best friend is the family cat, Scoops. The little girl's name is Ollie. And when I was coming up with the show, I was like, that's great, fine for the characters, but you always need a hook. What's the hook? And I thought, what if Ollie is the only girl in the entire world who can communicate with cats and understand them and can talk to them? Nobody else can. And because of this, she ends up learning that cats have a whole underground secret society that humans don't know about, and adventures ensue. That's pretty much it.
And Nico, if you could talk to cats, would you want to be able to?
Sure, why not? I'd know what my two pet cats would want. Like, if they want me to clean their litter box earlier than usual, I would know. That'd be great.
I can see the utility there, but I can also see it being really annoying.
Well,
Just
there's
hearing like,
definitely
"Hey, Nico, hey."
sure. In the latest Ollie and Scoops episode, the 8th one, it opens up with that actually happening, where Ollie's hearing cats, all over the place, and it's like getting a little. She just needs some alone time, hearing a little too much talking going on.
I really love that scene, actually. So I wanted to ask, how have the premise, characters, and design in Ollie Scoops changed since you first pitched the show in 2014?
Yeah, originally it was what I always like to do for Too Loud, my DreamWorks show, or Ollie and Scoops, or anything that I make, is design the characters myself, kind of do the initial designs, and then as time goes on, I'll get character designer. In this case, for Ollie and Scoops, my designer, Natasha Weir, she's just amazing. And I was a fan of her work before I was even friends with her. And I was like, hey, I want you to design something for me someday. I know I want you to, I know I want one of my projects to look like, you designed it. So I just thought that she would be perfect for this. So she took my initial 2014 designs in 2019, I guess, that's when we started making the show. And she, put her spin on it, and just made them 100 times better.
Did that process also give you an idea too of like how design trends changed from 2014 to 2019?
Sure. Here's another. I learned a lot of things on Too Loud, which was the show I did before Ollie and Scoops. That really helped me learn a lot of things before doing Ollie. But I learned from Too Loud to have a lot more diversity. Like, if you look at my designs from 2014, like, they're just all white characters, and it was just something that I wasn't thinking about. And then in 2019, it's like, oh, let's let's add some more diversity here. We've got her classmates are there's people of color in her class. There's a transgender kid I want to focus on more as the series goes on. Carl and Stassi, the brother, the babysitter, and the little boy that has a crush on Ollie. Their Jewish siblings, that they're going to have their own episode coming up soon too. So yeah, the main thing was just making sure that it's a diverse cast. I think more people can obviously connect with that too.
Hey, we got a question in the chat. Rebecca Kartzmark is asking, were there any characters that you had a hard time redesigning?
That might be more of a Natasha question, but I know that recently on Twitter I posted the 2014 designs versus the 2019 current designs, and like Ollie's parents totally changed. A lot of the cats stayed the same because a lot of the cats are like, here's like the really dumb one, here's the meaner, greedy one. Here's the conniving one. Here's like the little cute one. The designs for those didn't change too much, but the humans in particular did. Again, just because I wanted to diverse up the cast, make them a lot different from just what I was drawing. I guess I'm thinking her teacher originally was going to be I don't know if you've seen if anyone watching has seen Too Loud, my show before Ollie and Scoops, but like in that show, the mayor of the town is like a David Lynch cameo caricature, I guess. Because I just really love David Lynch. He's my favorite film director, and I always love like when people do imitations of him and stuff. But originally, Ollie's teacher was going to be David Lynch. And then when Too Loud happened, I was like, oh, I'll take that character and make him the mayor of the show. So then when Ollie and Scoops came around, I was like, well, I'm not going to do David Lynch again for her teacher. So, come up with a new character. And that ended up being, Miss Bivens for Ollie's teacher. And then I kind of continued the, film director thing where I was like, oh, well, who's the principal? Let's have it be like John Waters. He's, another favorite film director of mine. So I just like putting film directors in my shows. I don't know why. But those were the couple of characters that were kind of bigger when it came to redesigning.
Yeah, I think another aspect too is the more recent designs were a little bit more asymmetric, and was sort of using that to get a bit more appeal, which I thought was a really cool technique, and is something that you see more recently. I think that 5 years ago, character designs were a little bit more clean and a little bit more symmetrical in some ways.
Sure, that's a big part of why I love Natasha's work and designs and everything. If you get a chance to follow her on Twitter, she's amazing. But her stuff is very like asymmetrical and for lack of a better word, like not like super polished and clean. It's really like just like kind of all over the place and wacky, and that's just what drew me so much to it originally.
So you mentioned that before you were working on Ollie and Scoops, you were working on a series called Too Loud. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that experience helped you create your independent animated series?
Sure. Well, Too Loud was through DreamWorks TV, so that was definitely a studio production. But it helped me learn a lot about showrunning, having my own crew, stuff like that. A lot of the Too Loud crew is the Ollie and Scoops crew. I was mentioning to you before we were recording about 60-70% of the Ollie and Scoops crew is the Too Loud crew. The other percent are artists who have gone on to not have to do indie online stuff anymore, and they're actually working for big studios now, which is great. That's great it's too bad for me, but it's great for them. I'm really
I like to
happy and
imagine that
proud
the
for
Too
them
Loud
too.
crew has their microphones all turned up during online meetings.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're asking what did I learn exactly through the Too Loud
Yeah, like
show?
how did that experience help prepare you for Ollie and Scoops?
Yeah, just learning how to be a director really, and kind of manage a whole crew of people. And I think I might have had it a little tougher because because it's okay. So this is like a two-pronged answer. Originally, when Too Loud came out, it was before the pandemic. So now everybody's sort of directing, over Zoom, the internet, whatever, and art crews are kind of all over the world. We did it just a couple years earlier, I guess, before the pandemic, because Too Loud was very much like the crew was just, all over the world. I had animators, here in town in Los Angeles, on the East Coast of the U.S., Europe. One animator was in Malaysia, really all over the planet. I really learned how to, and so, in contrast, usually you're in a studio and your whole crew is, all on a floor, and you all have your own offices and cubicles, and if you need something you just kind of pop in and ask someone for something. This was a little tougher because I had to deal with crew members, being in different time zones and having to ask them something. I might have to wait 10 or 12 hours for them to respond because they might be sleeping when I'm asking them. But now, it's sort of normal for crews to be all kind of collabing online and all over the world, because now we have to because of the pandemic. But yeah, it definitely prepared me for that too. But
We're getting
directing
a lot of
and
questions. Oh,
yeah.
sorry,
I'm just
we're
thinking of
getting
any
a lot of
others.
questions in the.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I meant to say, so we're getting a lot of questions in the chat about show running and about creating your own show. So I wanted to ask you, what is how would you describe the job of a showrunner? What do you do on the series to get it made?
I would say most of it is making sure that your crew is happy. That's like the main one, is because obviously you don't want to lose. You don't want to have your crew be unhappy, otherwise they'll leave. So keep your crew happy. Make sure you pay them. Obviously, there's a lot of people that don't. So that I see online that just like end up. So don't be one of those people. But yeah, and obviously in terms of like working together, just learning how to collab, and I always like, it's not always just my idea or the highway, my road or the high road. If whatever crew members have ideas, I'm like so open to like hearing, and tell me, I'm open here. It's not just my way or the highway. So be to be a good director and showrunner, I think, is also to have your ears open and listen to your crew. If and collaboration is a beautiful thing. Trying to think of any other things here. Yeah,
How many people work on the show when like on a typical episode?
let's see. I've been asked that a couple times, and it seems to be growing, which is good. I think like including like the storyboard artists. We always have a couple per episode. Including the voice actors, which there's usually like 8 to 10 characters an episode. Um, the animators is usually 10 to 12. Cleanup artists is usually like 8. I'm thinking maybe like 30-ish, 30 people per episode. It might change from episode to episode, but I think 30 is general. Yeah. And like a year ago, when we were starting or so, it was like 10 or 15 people. So um, yeah, that's great that we're growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Nico, what drew you to explore the secret underground society of cats in the series instead of, as like Ollie suggested, squirrels or dogs?
Sure. Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit before recording too, but I felt like like dogs and cats, are everywhere in cartoons. Also, cats are usually portrayed as like sneaky, or like usually the villain or the antagonist, or like conniving, or like don't care, or like and the dogs were like the sillier ones. I kind of got tired of that, and I was like, let's see the cats being like all kinds of different cats, but there's antagonist cats, but also they're not all sneaky and not caring or aloof. Meh. They're all a lot of them are silly and goofy, more laid back, quieter, louder. I wanted to kind of explore a whole bunch of different characters and not just sort of one or two for cats. And even though cats and dogs are a lot, come up a lot in animation, I thought dogs show up a little bit more. So that's just why I chose cats over dogs. I thought that, I don't know, I'm just more of a cat person. I don't know. I think everyone, cats, I think cats, dogs are cute, but I think cats are cuter. And I was really going for like, what's the cutest version of the show I could do too. So I don't know.
Yeah. As someone who has only really encountered cats after meeting my wife, I'm just always astounded by how different cats are. Like their personalities are just completely different cat to cat, to the point where there's almost nothing that you can learn from one cat that applies to another cat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I mean, I find that cats in real life have different personalities all the time. Like I have two cats, and one is, a little quieter and sort of like, keeps back, a little shyer. Than the other one's like not very shy at all and loves, pets and hugs and stuff.
Aw. How would you describe the reaction and feedback that you've received for Ollie and Scoops?
It's been great. We've only been around for a couple of years, but the sky's the limit, and we're getting more and more views all the time, and more subscribers on YouTube and all that. Um, Thank to everyone watching right now. I can't see how many, but thank you for watching here too. You either know about the show or you want to know about it. So thank you so much. And yeah, the response has been just really, really great. I've like I know they always say like don't read the YouTube comments, but I like it because even if you know even if someone just uses it to be a troll or whatever, I really don't see it that often on my show. Thankfully, I really see like really nice messages, and if it's anything negative, usually I've been lucky to where the commenter is actually at least being being like a giving a good critique. If they're being negative, at least they're actually
Mm.
saying why they don't like it or whatever. And thankfully I don't get a lot of those either. So yeah, it's been really a positive experience.
And you know what? If someone cares enough about your show to leave a nasty comment, at least they cared enough to leave a nasty comment.
Yeah, I've only like nasty comments with like no critique, constructive criticism at all or anything like that. I've seen like two or three, which is not that much. So kudos to
Okay,
all the
constructive
commenters.
feedback.
Yeah, yeah.
So from reading comments and seeing fan art, what do you feel that viewers connect with on your show?
um, I the main thing I would love to connect with. I mean, I came up with Too Loud and Ollie and Scoops both over the last 5 or 6 years or so. And I'm not going to just name stuff, in the world, but there's a lot of ugliness out there. And I came up with these shows because I just wanted to promote kindness and just, uh, Jeffrey and Sarah and Too Loud were brother and sister, Ollie and Scoops are best friends. But just, yeah, that sibling love or friend love, just kind of get that across. That's what I hope people take away from the show. Besides humor, I guess. But yeah, just like a sense of just I wanted to make like a show about kindness and even the antagonists on Ollie and Scoops. It depends on how evil they are, I guess. But most of the antagonists, get redeemed at the end. They don't just like get thrown in jail like any other show. um, there will be different levels of villainy, I guess, to where uh, something like jail might happen to someone. But most of the time, it's like hey, let's all cut each other some slack, have a good time, try to find the love and the kindness in everybody, and cling on to that. That's
Yeah,
what I
so
like
so
to
I
about
first
the show.
I think it's really sweet in a lot of ways. I first learned about your show when I saw animators and artists on Twitter posting samples of scenes that they worked on, and I was curious, what kind of direction do you provide to animators and artists working with you on this project?
A lot is just like a lot of the animators all either already know, and I'll already know like what they specialize in. So I'll give them certain scenes where I'd be like, hey, you know what? I think you would be really good at like this scene where like Ollie and Scoops are like apologizing to each other, like something really, something sad happened and they have to apologize or whatever. I think you'd be really good at like the subtleties of the scene. Or if it's something like Scoops has to do a wild take and go nuts or like react crazy to something, you would be really good at this. So I try to like you know assign specific moods and scenes to the artists that I think would fit those really well.
So I know that you've been pitching this show since 2014. At what point did you decide that you wanted to publish this as a self-funded animated short
Oh yes.
or
Okay. So
series?
yes, I pitched Ollie Scoops like to Nick, Cartoon Network, Netflix, all over the place. And after a couple years, I sold Too Loud. So Ollie Scoops was like, oh, throw that on the list of future stuff. Focus on Too Loud for a couple years. And then when Too Loud ended, I was like, well, now I've been working for 2 years on my own stuff. If I just stop, I'm going to go crazy. So I should keep working on my own stuff. So it's like, well, Too Loud's over. What do I do? And I like looked at my backlist, the back burner list, and I said, oh, hey, Ollie Scoops from a couple years ago. Yeah, Let's bring that to the front burner. So pretty much just started working on that as soon as Too Loud ended. Because if I wasn't working on anything, I would just go crazy. I always have to be, working on stuff. That's just how my brain works. Um, so yeah, I have quite a few. I have things even older than Ollie Scoops. But I just felt that was I really wanted to work on that next. Uh, I came up with it. Yeah, so I came up with it before Too Loud, but it's interesting that you know, it was quite a handful of years in between before I actually came up with it and then actually started making it and working on it.
And you've got 8 episodes and some more content, all from that series. And throughout the years, it's gotten more and more elaborate and ambitious. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel that the series has changed since you first started creating these episodes?
Yeah, like Too Loud, all the episodes were like 5 minutes max. So that's what I was going to go into Ollie and Scoops with. It was like, okay, let's just make them all 5 minutes. That's easy. And then me and my writers like Matt Braley, my best friend who's also on my writing team, a couple other friends who threw some ideas at me. It's like we started writing and it's like, oh, these are getting up to like 10-minute ideas, 11-minute ideas. Okay, probably won't go longer than that. And then like the last one is like 20 minutes, or it's like 18 or 20 minutes. It's like, okay, so this is getting pretty ambitious. The episode 8 will definitely be the longest one for now. I don't know. I'm sure I have other ideas that are going to be just as long, but we're going to reel back after that one because it was so long. It took us like months and months and months and months to make. So I don't want to go too long without having a new episode. I don't want it to be like one new episode and then a year goes by before the next new one. So I'm going to try to reel back and have the next episodes be at go back to the 10, 11 minute. I don't think we have I think I've ran out of all the 5 minute episode ideas that we've started off with. So and I think we'll be back to around 10 or 11 minutes for now. But who knows? There's always going to be longer episodes. There might, I really wanted to do like an Ollie and Scoops quickies. We haven't done any of them yet, but those are ones that are like a minute, just 1 minute, like really short, quickies. And obviously, we could do a lot of those in a short amount of time. But yeah, I haven't gotten to that yet, but I have plenty of ideas for them.
I was really concerned that if the length of the episode kept doubling,
Oh
eventually that would
yeah.
be unsustainable.
No, no, yeah. We'll
'Cause
make sure that they won't get so long that you'll like never see them. Yeah, they'll you'll we'll make them a sustainable amount of time to where you know they still have a good presence online.
Nico, what does a typical day in production look like for you as the creator and showrunner?
It goes from very busy to slow as a snail. It goes from busy to being like we're writing episodes. I really like to record the voice actors as soon as the script is done, and this means that recording the voice actors is usually like the craziest part because it involves the most scheduling. It's like I found that that's like the only really hard part about the whole production is scheduling the voice actors because everybody's like super busy. That's great, but it's really hard to get a lot of people in like on the same day, in the same hour. Like that's really tough. but in the same day is hard enough. But recording the voice actors will that usually takes at least a full few days, in a row, just getting as many people in as possible. And also, there's a lot of people recorded that have been recorded since before the pandemic. So there's episodes that have been recorded for like 2 years, and we're not even getting to that episode yet for another 6 months or so. So a lot of the upcoming episodes know that we recorded like 2 years ago. But and then there will be slow periods where not necessarily slow for my crew, slow for me, where it's like when all the animation is being worked on. So like right now we're all animating episode 9, and my animators are animating, and that's where I kind of just like oversee everything, but I'm not necessarily like I'm not animating myself because I'm too busy to do stuff like that. Plus I'm I work 2 full-time jobs on top of everything, but they'll show their animation to me, and then I just kind of oversee everything. I give my approval. Once I give my thumbs up, it's good to go to cleanup, and then once the cleanups I give the thumbs up, then it's in the show. And then things pick up and get busier again for me once all the animation is done, because I'm also the editor. So I edit and I composite all the animation. I composite all the shots together, animation up against the backgrounds, stuff like that. All the fine tuning, last tweaking, and then the episode's done. So it's sort of, for me anyway, it's sort of like, it's like starts busy, kind of gets less busy, goes up to being busy again until the end. Yeah.
We got a question in the chat, which is, how did you come up with different pilot plot ideas for each episode? And do you ever feel stuck on a story?
I say, I don't know who, I think Pixar is guilty a lot of saying like stories first, like story, that's the number one thing. I disagree. I think story is number 2. I think characters are number 1. Come up with good characters. If your characters are strong enough, you'll have no problem coming up with story ideas. So it's like, imagine some really strong characters that SpongeBob and Patrick, Bart Simpson and Homer Simpson, whoever, Bugs Bunny, put them in any situation and the story kind of writes itself. So really it's just like, to come up with a story, I'll just say, okay, Ollie and Scoops go to the movies. That's not an episode, but it could be where, they will get into specific trouble at the movies that no other character would. So focus on your characters first and make them strong enough to where whatever place they go to, or like time period they're in, or whatever, they will make it specific to them. And again, the story just writes itself if the characters are funny and strong enough. Hopefully that helps.
No, it definitely does. And I think what's kind of funny when you hear someone give advice for storytelling, like with the Pixar example, is that advice is really great if it's what helped you make the thing that you made.
Sure.
But sometimes it isn't always generalizable to other people. So finding stuff that works for you is always really important. Nico, I wanted to ask you, what was the most challenging aspect of making Ollie and Scoops, and what are you most proud of?
The most challenging aspect I mentioned, I guess like in terms of just general tasks on the show, I mentioned pretty much scheduling the voice actors and the voice recording. That's the toughest because it just takes the longest and the most amount of scheduling and the most amount of like discussing with people and making sure that you can make it, the voice actor can make it, the voice actors can make it, an engineer can make it, and you have the place to record. It kind of involves a lot of people, so that's definitely the most difficult part. In terms of like tasks, I guess the overall most difficult part is just, I mean, we're doing this on our own, so just the funding really is just like doing it without a studio, no studio backing. That just means that like we kind of get new episodes when we can get them, because it basically comes down to whenever I can afford it, which is, I try to keep it constant to where as soon as we're done with like episode 8, I am ready to pay my crew for episode 9, as soon as that's done. So I try to not have it to where like we finish an episode and then I can't afford like the next one for 6 months or whatever. I try to always be, one episode, one step ahead, one episode ahead of that, so that people, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the internet moves fast, and it's like if we took like a year or like 2 years in between episodes, it's easy for people to forget, and kind of just want to keep those episodes coming, so people just kind of stay on track, fans stay on track, and it's easy for you know it's easy to be forgotten in this crazy, fast-paced internet world. But and then you mentioned the most proudest, the proudest
Yeah.
part of making the show. Um, I love making the show, but I love when an episode's done and it's online and people are watching it. And I love, especially if I have people like in a room, or I've had theater screenings, parties where like, you know, friends and fans are all in the audience watching the cartoon on the screen. And when I hear like an audience of people laughing at something that like I wrote or characters that I made, that is like the best feeling. That's the proudest feeling for sure. It's just like, and also, if you don't, either seeing that reaction in a theater or online. I mean, you can go online and, look at how many likes your video is getting, or all the nice comments you're getting, or yeah, it's just that fan reaction is really, it's a powerful thing.
Have you had a chance to screen Ollie and Scoops or submit it to festivals?
We were 2 days away from screening episodes 1 through 5, and then the pandemic happened. So we have not had an Ollie and Scoop screening yet. But yeah, because the pandemic happened right before, I think like right when episode 6 came out, something like that. Um, uh, and that really, I've always wanted to like have at least 3 episodes a year, and it's been a bummer to me that we've only had 2 episodes since the pandemic started. But that'll change because we have more on the way, and there's a smaller wait in between the future ones. But I did have a Too Loud screening when Too Loud was. Um, I think we had a screening for both seasons, and yeah, that was great. I love I'm a big proponent for old school, being in a theater and hearing an audience. Even if you've seen something 100 times, it's crazy. Like if you're in an audience seeing it, you'll be laughing with them, because even if you've seen it 100 times, just because there's nothing quite like the infectiousness of a crowd around you and that energy, that you have in a theater with other people.
And getting to see someone else experience it for the first time too is
Sure.
kind of fun.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing I wanted to ask you. Oh, so before the stream, we were mentioning that there's some creators who, when they realize that they're going to do a project independently, there's a moment of relief of like, okay, now I can get away with stuff. And I don't think that like Ollie and Scoops is a terribly like adult animation type of independent project. But I wanted to know if you felt there were some benefits and challenges to self-publishing an independent series.
Sure. In terms of like age range and like what kind of content we have, like I find it a little more challenging to write for all ages. Not that I'm not going to denounce anyone who makes adult shows. I have plenty of friends who make adult shows, or a lot of what I see is just like, oh, to be funny on this show, you either have to have farts or like lots of violence, and that's funny. That's fine, but
Sometimes it
I've
is.
always I've always felt like, even when I've had the chance to make something for myself, like Ollie and Scoops, it's by me, no studio, I can make it whatever I want. I still kind of chose like the all ages route, and I think that's just because I just I feel like I'm more at home when I'm writing for like everybody. I don't know. It's weird. I know what you mean too, where it's like, why don't you just stick to what you know and stick to what you do? Even when I had a public access show in Tucson, Arizona with my friends in college. And that was us in our early 20s. And it was like, it would get adult, but we still never went like crazy adult. It would get just a little raunchy, maybe a couple words here and there, but it would never get like, and a crazy, it wouldn't get filthy or anything. And it's just, I think that's just, I guess it's just me. I'm not really like the filthiest guy. So I'm pretty content just writing, all ages and, finding something that everybody finds funny, I think is a little bit harder to do and a little trickier. You have to be a little more clever to make, something that will make a 5-year-old and a 35-year-old laugh.
Okay, I have to ask, how many episodes of your public access show were you involved with, and what was the format of that show?
Yeah. So when people think of public access, they think of like just like a guy or two guys, at a desk, at a green screen desk, just answering ridiculous phone calls or whatever, or like religious shows or something like that. We also were like, we don't want to do that. Everything I join, I'm just like, I want to do, yeah, let's do that, but let's not do what that's usually is. We just made it like a Monty Python kind of show. We made it like sketch comedy. We made it like short videos and comedy shorts. We didn't really. It kind of started off being like because that's all the public access studio knew how to do, was like, it kind of started off as just us sitting at a desk and just talking about whatever and just maybe answering phone calls from random people in town. But then really quickly we were like, no, we don't really care about doing that kind of public access. We want to do like Kids in the Hall, Monty Python, Mr. Show kind of sketch comedy and filmed stuff. So
There's nothing vicious because those are great shows.
yeah, I mean that's what I grew up on. That's what shaped my comedy. It was like Kids in the Hall and Mr. Show with Bob and David. So we pretty much, that was the format of our show. And we did it from 2003 when I graduated high school up until when I moved here 2008. So we did it for 5 years and we did like 13 episodes and an hour-long movie, like a holiday musical movie version of the show. So 14 episodes over 5 years. Yeah. But each one was like an hour or so. So yeah, sometimes it would take, a whole year to make one episode. It depends on how busy
Okay,
we
so
were.
I think I see how Ollie and Scoops got made now. Do you have advice for artists and animators who are interested in pursuing a showrunner role?
Yeah, and I think I'm sure that'd be the most questions asked during this. Um, uh, I'm just going to I'm just going to say what worked for me. It's not necessarily what's going to work for you. Everyone has a different path. Follow that path. Don't let me don't take this as this is how you have to do it and follow this. Otherwise you're not going to make it. But I started working in the animation industry and I still work in the animation industry. And I'm an editor. I'm an animatic and animation editor. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, I build the animatics to the show. I take the storyboard panels, I build it to the voice actors' tracks, throw in the sound effects and the music. I time out the episode, kind of building the skeleton of the show before it gets animated or shipped to be animated. That's my day job. So I've always worked in animation for 11, 12 years now. And that's, what pays my bills. And that's what I use to save up. When Too Loud came along, they gave me a budget, so I didn't have to pay for Too Loud. DreamWorks did. But when Ollie Scoops came around, I just got to the point in my career where I had saved up enough to where I could at least do. The plan was to do 3 episodes of Ollie Scoops and just see what happens. I had enough for 3 episodes, and then as we were making the episodes, I was continuing to work during the day, and then that helped me save up for 4, 5, and 6, the next 3 episodes. So it's just a lot of saving up, and it's going to take a lot of time. It doesn't really matter how much you save up. Just honestly, this coincides with the best advice I've ever heard, which was from multiple teachers and peers, which is just make stuff. And it doesn't matter how much it costs, if it's $5 or if it costs 5,000 or 50,000 or 5, just make stuff and always be making stuff. Always be coming up with characters if you're a character designer, or stories, or come up with situations, come up with characters that fit that situation, or a situation that fits those characters. And gather up a couple buddies and just make stuff. I try to have a few friends who are really good at that certain thing kind of come in. So there's a couple friends who are really great at writing, and they'll help me write episodes. Or if I write the script, they'll come in afterwards and kind of like, hey, we'll do like a punch up session where the script of Ollie is written, but like, let's just go through and just punch up all the jokes, just make it funny, 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 funny. And so we'll just go through and make a funny pass, and then, there's like the designs. I'll do, here's the initial design, and then Natasha will make it 100 times better. So it's just like, it's also just, don't put everything on yourself either. Find a good group of friends or a crew. Obviously your crew can be your friends and vice versa, but you don't have to put it all on yourself either when making something. And obviously people aren't going to be thrilled to work for free, but if the energy is there and the spark is there and you all love working together, you don't have to be paying super high wages on anything or anything like that. Just do what you can that makes everybody happy and keeps everyone still working together, and I think it'll shine through. So I don't know. Again, that's the path that it took for me to make Ollie and Scoops. It's not automatically going to work for everyone else, or it could be, you could find the same gold at the end of the rainbow in another way. But yeah, that's what worked for me anyway. So hopefully that helps. I hope that helps at least a couple of people.
Yeah, with a lot of artists that I speak to, their thesis film is often the first and sometimes only time they're able to work on their own original projects.
Mhm.
So, what is it that draws you to continue to develop new ideas and work on things that are yours?
That's a tough question. It's like, it's sort of like it just comes. It's something that just comes natural sometimes. Like, I'm a fish, so I swim. Like I feel like I'm constantly just thinking of characters and ideas and stories. I don't know if creativity is something that can be taught. You just have to. I mean, I think most people have that, creativity and have that spark of wanting to make something. And I understand that, we can all go through writer's blocks. We can all go through, you know, points where it's like I have something, it's like on the tip of my tongue. I just can't get it out. I can't get it out on my pen or my paper or my typing or whatever. It's just not working. It's like when stuff like that happens, just like take a step back. I say, like, try to get out, hang out with some friends, go outside, get more experiences, and take the life experiences you have and put them towards the stuff that you create. There is most of the stuff in Ollie and Scoops is either stuff that happened to me or little nuggets of something that happened to me, and then we kind of blew it up and made it like a silly cartoon plot. But you know, there's a lot of words Ollie uses that, like, I say all the time. I call my kitties my itty bitty kitties, and that's what she calls him. That's the first dialogue in the show from her. So all kinds of stuff. Scoops, you shut your beautiful lips. Like, just the way she says stuff to him is how I say stuff to people. Or, they'll call each other things that my friends and I will say. So just, anyway, the point is, if you're having trouble coming up with stuff on your own, try your best to take a step back and get those experiences and do stuff. Just, do anything. Go out with friends. Do anything that you can that you can take those experiences and put it towards, what you're working on. Put a lot of yourself in your characters too. That's another big thing. I always say, like, it's really like with either Jeffrey and Sarah or in Too Loud or Ollie and Scoops in Ollie and Scoops, they are always the two characters are halves of me, which I think is a really good idea to put yourself in your characters too. Jeffrey and Sarah, I'm half Jeffrey, half Sarah. That's just I put, but I'm a nice sweet guy, and on the other half I'm like a clumsy nut. And that's just who I just put those two things together, and those are those two characters. So I think that's a really put a lot of yourself in your characters too.
Of the 8 episodes that have been published so far, which ones?
I'm always going to be like most stoked on what the newest thing. So like probably episode 8 right now, but I don't know. Episode 6. I think that's a lot of people's favorite, and I really love episode 6, but Ollie and Scoops aren't in it. So it'd be weird for me to say that my favorite Ollie and Scoops episode is an episode without them, but it did turn out really good, and it was like the most ambitious one with the most like animation styles, and we even had like a 3D set making the old Fleischer Popeye Betty Boop shorts. That one might be like best looking. I'll say it's the best looking episode, but I think maybe like the funniest or most well fleshed out story wise, maybe episode 8. I'll say that. Sure.
Was there anything? So I asked you before how Too Loud prepared you for Ollie and Scoops. Was there anything that you had to sort of work to or learn when creating Ollie and Scoops, because it was just such a different beast in a few different ways?
Well, initially when I came up with Ollie and Scoops, it was specifically for pitching. It wasn't for like, I was never like, I'm going to make this on my own. Here's the characters, here's the show. This was specifically for like, I need to come up with 2 characters that I don't care about so I can sell them, because Nickelodeon is having a huge thing right now where they're doing a writers or a pilot program where, it's like you pitch to them. It's a pitch program. The ironic part is that the characters that I always come up with with the purpose of not caring about, I always end up caring the most for. So like I could never think of right now, not caring about Ollie and Scoops and just being like totally fine with selling them. Maybe 6 years ago when I first came up with them, but now it's like I'm so attached to them that I can't even possibly do that. But at the time, it was very much like, they wanted 2 best friends, one more down to earth, one sillier, stupider, whatever. SpongeBob and Patrick. They basically wanted SpongeBob and Patrick. And they said if it's a human, it has to be a kid. It can't be an adult. And if it's an animal, they can be any age, just childlike. So I thought of what's the 2 things I love most about animation: cute girls, funny animals. And that's basically, okay, cool. 10-year-old girl, pet cat. That's that. And then the hook is that they can talk to each other. The reason that I brought up the beginning of creating the show to answer your question, and now I've forgotten the question. Can you repeat the question?
The question was there anything that you had to learn when making Ollie and Scoops?
Okay, and then I thought of the answer, and then I said, oh, but to answer that, I'll have to explain why I came up with them, and then I forgot the answer. So, I guess, oh, that's right. Okay, so that's where I was going. Sorry. It was starting off with just coming up with those 2 characters, and then as the development of the show went along, it was the name of the game was, let's just keep adding, and let's make I want to make like a Springfield. I want to make like a world, like a Simpsons, like a world of this show, to where this is pretty special. It's a show with 2 different settings. Actually, to be honest, 3 different settings. Some shows only have, their house, or their job or their school. This show is like, it's like three shows: Ollie's house, home life; Ollie's school life; Ollie's underground cat city life. So there's three different main locations of this show, and that just opens up so many opportunities for different stories and stuff. In all, each episode will be either about home, school, or the cat city. So when I realized that the scope of the show was that big, I was like, oh, it can't just be these two characters. It has to. I have to add, like, I want to add tons of, it has to not just tons of cat characters, but tons of human characters as well. So that, to answer your question, it's where it started off with just the two characters. The biggest challenge was just to keep adding and coming up with characters. I mean, there's new character every episode. There's new characters, so it's just going to keep the character roster is going to keep growing and growing. And there's characters that I've come up with that haven't even been introduced on the show yet, but that I came up with before the show happened. So those, just kind of ramping up. There's characters that have to ramp up to it too. But anyway, that's the most complex thing, I guess, is just adding that world, making your show into an entire world of characters.
I'm definitely excited to see more of that world. We are running out of time. Nico, where can our viewers find Ollie and Scoops and see more of what you're working on?
Sure. On social media, I'm just Nico Colaleo. It's just my name. That's on Instagram and Twitter. And you can watch Ollie and Scoops on YouTube. You can type in Ollie and Scoops or type in my name, or the channel is Nico Animation. That's my company. But if you type in Ollie and Scoops, it's the first thing that comes up. All 8 episodes are there, and every holidays we do a Christmas song with a different character singing. And I specifically stole that from the Venture Brothers because I love how they did that without any studio involvement, just for fun. Every year for like 10 years, they did a holiday song with two of the characters singing a song, and then they stopped like 10 years ago. And I'm like, that was so fun. Well, I'll continue the tradition, I guess. And then so we have 3 holiday songs so far, and I want to make it to where in 10 years we have an entire soundtrack of just Christmas Ollie and Scoop songs, and that's not even counting the regular songs that we have in the show. So yeah.
I would watch that album.
But that's where you can see the show. Yeah.
So thank you everyone who tuned in to today's live stream. Next week we'll actually be interviewing another Nico Semenya, who will be discussing his thesis film Scattershot, which is an incredibly ambitious short that uses cutout animation, and also his experience winning the Pitch This competition at the animation conference in Ottawa. You can find a written interview with him on our blog at blog.toonboom.com, and be sure to tune in next time.